All right, I figured let's go ahead and get started because this has been something that has been on my spirit to share for a couple days now, and I have had a fit over this testimony that I have to share, okay? But first, I want to give a disclaimer, right? Let's go ahead and correct. You guys can see because there's a lot parental advisory things like that. There's it's like a movie basically, my life story, and I'm going to glorify God throughout this whole thing, and this is what this whole story is even about. This isn't even about me or about anybody a part of the story. So that's a disclaimer, all right? If you want to take it personal, take it personal. I do not care because this is not for me. I asked God, I was crying, why he wanted me to relive these moments. He said, because you're not the only one. Okay? So that was enough to give me the, okay, I'll do this, but I feel like smoking 10 cigarettes right now, right? And I'm kind of even upset about it in a way. Like, I don't want to live there anymore. Like, I've graduated from there. Like, but let's get started. All right, so where should we start? I guess we can go back to the time the first memories of life. I'm going to make this quick. And the only reason I'm highlighting certain points is to maybe help you heal or something like that. But the first memory of my life, I remember, and that my mother's boyfriend at the time had taken us fishing or something like that. And he turned around while she wasn't looking and he said, "I hate you." And I was too little to even be able to say that, right? But I knew that he, obviously didn't like me at all. And he made sure he expressed that throughout their whole relationship, right? Which, rest in peace, because he's passed away now. But I'm just going by certain seeds that can be planted in your mind to make you automatically think that you are hated, all right? Or whatever. But I always know that following your intuition from an early age, like if there are any younger people that end up watching this, know that it's never your fault, okay? People project onto them what has happened to them. I don't know why. It's a human trait that we've received from the serpent, I'm sure. That's why, I have put myself through enough guilt, shame, persecution to even worry about any bad comments or negativity. You know what I mean? Because I have I put myself through enough guilt, right? So as I'm growing older, there's a lot of physical, mental abuse going on. And then my dad ended up getting custody of me when I was 4. And he was remarried to the woman that he cheated on my mom with, right? So I kind of knew her as mom a little bit, but even she was weird, right? And in ways that I guess I would call it, I don't know if it was like out of ignorance or just how she was taught or what, but I just remember her being exposing me to certain things that I shouldn't have been exposed to at the time, right? Way too young to be exposed to like pornography, things like that. And I'm pointing that out because that's also seeds planted in your mind, right? And it's almost like we're not wrestling against flesh and blood here. These are spiritual principalities that rule over these people's bloodlines. And that's what the chosen are here to do, to bring knowledge, understanding, and know that there's something else going on. It's not just human things. I know this from my own 2 eyes. I'm a witness to it. So they got divorced, and my dad remarried, and then my sister got killed. And when she got killed, I remember everything pretty much going decent after he remarried. She was probably the best stepmom I had out of all of them, and she was the only one that stayed, tried to teach me right. Okay, so and then they got a divorce. Excuse me. Danielle died, and then they got a divorce. And there was some money involved from the accident that happened to her. She was 10 years old, and she got hit by a dump truck crossing the crosswalk at school, right? And they air carried her to the hospital, and there was nothing else they could do, right? So and I was 7, she was 10. So I remember, I knew before nobody even told me. I knew the night that they were making the decision that it was happening. I remember I was at my mom's and her boyfriend's trailer looking out the window at the moon, and I knew that my life was it was just, there was another hurdle that was coming. But I didn't know how to articulate it like that, but I knew something devastating happened. And and then Thanksgiving came. It falls on Thanksgiving, some Thanksgivings, right? And I just remember thinking, how is the people on the highway still rolling, the mail still running, and people are still going to have Thanksgiving, and she just died? I felt like the whole world should have stopped and at least knew about it. And I was only 7, right? And my cousin Jacob, he got killed on a motorcycle wreck. And he was the only one that even brought it up. Seems like the genuine ones go first, right? So as life goes on, we end up moving down the hill from the house that I live in now. And it ended up burning to the ground. And then, let's see, but before it burned up to the ground, we moved to Bracken County where it was out in the country. Barney Fifeville, like 30, 40 miles just to go to Walmart. And my dad worked all the time, so I was left alone a lot. And I picked up, when Danielle died, I picked up my own schedule for school and things like that because I knew the way my dad was losing his mind throughout all that I didn't want them to take me away. Okay. And I was always wise beyond my years. Right. So I started getting myself into a routine and doing my own laundry. And I really took on the role of a caretaker for myself at a young age. Right. But glory be to God, I had the mind capacity to do it. So, but I was still traumatized. Right. We all was. And that's why I said, God, can we please get this over with? I don't want to be sitting up here crying because this isn't even the hardest part of it for me, right? So as time goes on, my mom ended up moving out to by where my dad lived, right? They weren't together, but her and Mike, the one that that she was with, my stepdad, they were never married, but her boyfriend, right? The same one she had my whole life. And she ended up having 2 kids with him too. I'm her first child, her firstborn, and my dad's last. Okay, and we all the siblings. There's 5 of us on. There's a bunch. All right, there's 3 on my mom's side, 2 with this, 1 with my dad, and then 2 with the same. Right, and that was the boyfriend, the one that said that when I was a kid. So he was a toxic individual, right? But I'm not here to spread shade because he did a lot of good just as well as bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to bash anybody or to throw stones at anybody. I'm here to tell the truth like it was, like I seen it with my own 2 eyes. Okay? And I'm not holding back for nobody, whether you see it or not. So let's see here. They move out there, right? And my mom ends up just going into this party mode. Like, seems like she just kind of let loose, I guess. Being with Mike all that time kind of had her under, like, I remember him making her show receipts and always just really controlling and abusive, and the way he mentally talked down to her, I remember a lot, just about how, like, her looks and stuff like that. He was just like a narcissistic person, right? He had a very traumatizing childhood too, but it still don't make it okay. It's not your job to save people like that. And if somebody's doing that to you, it's for a reason. because I watched, if you see the timeline, you can see what happened, okay? And that's how I show my mother grace for what I'm about to tell you. What happened, okay? And how I show her honor still, because that's what the Bible, that's what Scripture says, and it's for a reason, all right? For spiritual law reasons. So anyway, she moves out there and she starts wilding out and partying, and you know, she would give me alcohol and I would pay for it, and from my allowance that my dad would give me, right? And we'd all get drunk. And she would bring guys around, and it was just always very unsafe and chaotic. And you know, I can only imagine what my little sisters went through, because you know, she really she just lost herself, right? And one of her person she knew, that she'd known these people for a while. I don't think she knew that this would have happened, but she left me there, right? And I was on drugs, right? And I was drinking because I was with my mom. I thought I was safe, you know. And my virginity got stolen that night, and that was something that really, really just. All my friends were already having sex because I was 14, right? But to me, it was something special. Like, I didn't want to just be like everybody else. And when this happened, just who the person was, the things that I'd seen them do to like their girlfriends, and like they just a nasty, just a dirty individual, right? Took that from me. And I remember just thinking, God, how could you let this happen? Not something that's irreversible. And I was laying out in the middle of the snow at that time, right? After it happened. Just without crying or emotions, just like, something so reversible, thanks, you know, whatever. And I got mad at God for a long time. But I never rejected him, and I'd always known he existed. And so after that, I found myself being a harlot. Like, I dove into promiscuous. There's a black crow. I dove into promiscuity, or if that's even a word. Basically, I was whoremonger, you know, harlot or concubine, whatever you want to call it. And my understanding of it now, it's a spiritual thing. When somebody takes something like that from you, like that, there's something spiritual latches onto you, and it makes you like that, either like a pervert, or like if it happens real young, that's what breeds perverts, right? 98% of pedophiles have been violated themselves. It's a spirit. And the one that I got was the harlot, right? So I am like completely sleeping with just everybody. I didn't care at that point. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't care anymore of why I have morals, because it meant a lot to me before that happened. And I mean, a lot of my downfalls in life probably wouldn't have happened if it wouldn't have been for that night, because that's how much it meant to me, right? And so let's see. And then I end up having an affair with one of my mom's boyfriends. Like, you guys, this was horrible. Like, older men, just complete nonsense, right? And she never took up for me. She always would just literally just beat me down to the ground for it, literally, you know, once it was all out in the open. Let's see, by that time, I think I already had another boyfriend, and had been with him for a while. And then, then he started working for my dad, right? And he got on pills too. And so that's where the Oxycontin started, and then the 30s and all the opioids, right? That's when all that, and I got a wisdom tooth pulled too, right? And the dentist gave them to me. That's when it first happened. That was before I met. That was probably between 14 to 15, right? And I already was an alcoholic by that point. And I'm talking, I would wake up in the morning and get drunk before school, or take vodka in a water bottle. And I was always real private about it, but I still was doing it. And it's just being an adult, looking back on it, I'm like, well, you know, I was in pain. Nobody wanted to hear me. Nobody gave me compassion. Nobody they didn't care. So fast forward, right? I'm in 8th grade, and I'm drinking and all this other stuff. And let's see, I make it 4 months into my freshman year before I got suspended for 2 weeks, right? And it was downhill from there. So I ended up doing homeschooling, and so basically nothing, and just was partying every day because I had no parental guidance. My dad was always gone or at work, always. And when he was home, he was sleeping or something like that. So it wasn't like I had, and I think my mom had already moved away by then. And then Mike died within them years. Within that time frame, that's when the father of my 2 younger siblings' father passed away. All right. I was 13 when that happened. So rest in peace to him. And let's see. So let's keep going. I don't want to make this too long. I guess we'll get to the part where I go to visit my brother way down in Kentucky. He was on the run from felony theft and all kinds of stuff because of drug addiction, right? And so I go down there to see him, and that's the first time I got introduced to intravenous drug use. Okay. And it was my brother. And I didn't, it was always, I always got sucked into it because I didn't want to say no. Quit, Galaxy. I don't. Like, this ain't hard enough. I need a break. All right, so I felt like just leaving and taking a really long break. But I pulled it together here to keep going so I could get this done. Because so it'll leave me alone. So it's like a spiritual thing, like, do this now. And I'm like, the world is so backwards, I don't even care anymore. Judge me all you want. I don't care anymore. Because the glory of God. But that you don't understand how bad I was targeted my whole life because of that. For all those years that I got introduced to that. Boom, obviously, it creates a ripple of addiction of years and years and years of misery. And you getting your shit together and you losing it again. And all the scrutiny and the things we go through with our own family. They don't trust us. We've never stolen anything. And if anything does come up missing, we're the first ones to get blamed. I was never that person. I never stole nothing from none of my family. And if anybody knows me, they know that I tell you, at least now. I was always worked. I always say it had integrity. Even though I was doing this. So there's that. I had to get that out. And so I have an 8th grade education. I did get my good enough diploma, my GED. And then my dad started taking me to work with him, which I'm glad he did at the same, because I knew internally that was going to be my only way out of poverty if I ever wanted to anything of substance in my life, right? Because I do have a moral code that I do go by. Yeah, I did go off and kind of screw around with, and after that happened. But I never did do anything too immortal, or immoral. I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. But I always had a certain moral conduct, right? And everybody always labeled me that whore, and it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? And the way it looked, I know it didn't look good. But the way they persecuted me always made me just feel like low, small. And nobody ever gave me compassion or asked why I even started. They didn't care, okay? Because they seen the light in me. They seen the strength, and they'll see it in you too. And that's why they didn't offer it to you. Maybe they never got it offered to them. You see what I'm saying? A lot of it's by our own ignorance. A lot of the shortcomings listen, guys. I have put myself into bad situations thinking that everybody had the same heart as me. And I got gang raped. by a few individuals. And I'm glad I made it out of there. And then it's okay. And this from 17 is when my brother introduced me to that, to 23. That's when I got pregnant, right? And I met my daughter's dad somewhere in the mix of that. And, like, we were together for 4 years, right? And as long as I was failing and using and not doing anything right with my life, he was okay with it, right? But he was, like, my enabler. There you go. And, like, we were, like, homeless and all kinds of stuff. And I remember I was on birth control, though. You know, I wasn't a complete idiot. Because I knew what I was doing wasn't me. And I knew what I was doing, I wasn't always going to be like that. And glory be to God, he listened to me every time I was on my knees begging for change. Thank you, God, for that. So anyways, so I get pregnant, right? And I have a misdemeanor warrant for my arrest. And it was 3 years old. And I get pregnant. I'm like 3 months pregnant, right? And I was strung out when I conceived her. So they told me the only option, if I wanted to keep the fetus, is what the doctor said, that I would have to get on some kind of maintenance. That there was no way to medically detox, because I wasn't going to be that one to be that selfish, right? But even if you was, just realize that you have to have grace upon grace upon grace, because I know that's why I'm sharing this, is because I'm not the only one. And you got to let go of that guilt as a parent, as a mother or as a parent. Thank God that nothing is like, thank God she's advanced. My daughter's advanced and everything, school, all that. But I think to myself, what if she wasn't? Because for the first 3 months, I didn't know I was pregnant. I was on birth control and I was having menstrual cycles. I had kidney stones. That's the only way I found out, and I had to go to the hospital because I had kidney stones. I was using so much, my body was disintegrating, and I didn't even know it because I was numbing it with heroin. That is something for people on their deathbed, and it came from our government. They cut everybody off their Oxycontins, and they turned them to whatever bull crap they turned them to, and then they set us up. That's genocide on the white man, okay? And I'm giving everybody grace for that. And I've lost a lot of family due to this shit. And I'm going to say it the way it is. To hopefully give you guys a different perspective as to what is really going on here. And help these people instead of always looking down on them. Are you a Christian? Do you deny him by your own works? Let's look within you. You want me to put a mirror up to you? Because I've had it up to me my whole life. And I never seen no blemish. I see nothing but innocence that was unrecognized. So if that's you, I see it, and I'll validate you for that innocence that you once had. That somebody stole from you, and you numbed it out. You didn't know any coping skills. You didn't had a mom to say, "Hey, I just want what's best for you." I've never heard that out of my mother's mouth. You see what I'm saying? Some of us don't have a family dynamic because of the way our government and our society and our civilization has crushed the American homes with their propaganda, the music, secular music, which I listen to some of it, but I know how I can brainwash you, right? I'm aware. Some people don't even know the lyrics they're singing. They don't even know what they are saying. Sit and read some of your favorite songs. And read the lyrics. Whew. That's why we had, my parents got divorced at age 2. You know? And people that had that dynamic, that healthy, stable mom and dad home, are the ones that have unrighteous judgment over people. They had a choice. Oh, well, did they? Did they have a choice when something traumatic happened to them at a young age and they had no other way to cope besides to self-soothe? See what I'm saying? There has to be a boundary there. If you've never experienced it, don't put your mouth on it. Anyways, let's keep going. So, I ended up getting arrested for the warrant. And I was pregnant on a misdemeanor, right? And I had a Subutex in my system because that's what the doctor told me to do. And so they take me to the jail into a different county. I was in a different county. I had to get transferred here and there, everywhere else, over a misdemeanor warrant, the most stupidest thing you could ever think of. It was a whole setup, a false persecution. I'm telling you right now, and it happens, they do it to just to experiment, to see how you handle it, because they know that you're different since school. To the ones that are seriously one of the 144,000, I'll tell you that right now. And the Spirit will lead you right here. And to the rest, I'm not here for you. So if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. This isn't about the numbers, guys. This is like, hey, no matter what hell you may have found yourself or may still be doing, God's not sitting here condemning you. It's you condemning you because you know you can do better than that. Quit getting mad at God. Quit blaming God for your own shortcomings because a lot of it is us. We have free will. Use your noggin. Think for yourself. Get isolated. Get the hell away from these flunky ass people that want you to use and want you to be at your lowest. Get away from them or you will never change. You won't have the brain capacity to. You get yourself alone and you turn on videos like this and you let it feed you. You let it feed you and you start asking God for stuff. Even if you just to test it out, right? I have so much thoughts running through my brain right now. It's like, I don't even know if I'll even be able to share this. But I feel like I have to. So anyways, I finally get to the county jail to where the charges happened. 3 years go by, right? And my argument to the judge was that, I was a citizen. I did pay my taxes. I didn't have any run-ins with the law. I'm not a criminal. Don't sentence me to have my child in the state penitentiary. And he did. Okay? Because of the Subutex that was in my system. Okay? That's why. He said I would get, I would consider that fault, but the fact that you're positive for buprenorphine that I had a prescription for, and the damn doctors told me to do, whatever. He had given me a few chances, and I was gone for 3 years, but it is what it is. It all had to happen for a reason, for me to wake up to who I am, right? So I go to the county jail, and I had about 8 months left to serve out off of misdemeanor years, 365. And I'm in this holding tank, 4x6 cell, the whole 4 months. And that was a living hell. And I didn't really know God as much as I know him now, but I was with child, right? I was pregnant. So I was bonding with her more than anything. And when they shipped me to the penitentiary 11 days before my due date, they had me on medicine, right? The county had me on medicine that I had to go every day to take. Because of the withdrawals alone would have killed the baby, right? So I get to the state penitentiary and they don't send it with me, right? They forget, something happens, something mix up happens, right? When I get there. And I go 3 days without any medicine. And I was so sick, you guys, I kept throwing up. I had no means of holding down no water. I mean, I would chug, and I'm talking, this is old prison. We're in the prison where there's people that are never getting out. And I'm trying to chug this water, and I had a garbage bag by the bed there, and I would puke, and none of them would listen to me. And none of them would listen to me. They didn't think I was there for as long as I was. I was there for a whole total of 5 days with nothing, right? And I thought that the baby was dead because she wouldn't move, and because I couldn't hold down no liquids, right? So I go into the shower because they called me. Them people. I seen how it looked. I seen how it looked, but nobody should have ever been talked to the way I was, especially as sick as I was, and I was pregnant. So I go into the shower and I'm meeting my demise. I'm like, it's over. I'm not. I'm gonna. We're gonna die. And I thought she was already dead. And in the penitentiary, you got the knobs. It ain't the push. So I'm laying there for I don't know how long. And I had my clothes on and everything. With my state boots on. And I was, I just had my head leaned up against, I was sitting down and letting the water run over me. And I just was waiting to die. And this lady, a fellow flunky, she said, "Who's still in the shower?" And she opened it and she saw me and she was like, "Caitlin," she's like, they're gonna listen to me today, is what she said. So she went out there. She gets them to come back to get me. And it's Kentucky State Penitentiary for women, Pee Wee Valley. And the nurse that rolls the wheelchair, and she's got a big old shiner on her face. So she's broken in spirit. They weren't easy with me, guys. So they yanked me up out of there, and I'm soaking wet, right? And because I couldn't walk, I was done. I was literally I couldn't fight with them anymore because they weren't listening. Nobody was. So they get me into the wheelchair, right? And first, this is what happens first. They take me to the nurse's station. And to see how far, they thought I was in labor. They had no idea that I was withdrawing severely off of the methadone that the county had me on, right? And so they chained me to the thing, and there was a male. The male was the nurse, the examiner, right? And then the CO was supposed to stay in there, and she stepped out. And when she stepped out, that's when he did the procedure, right? He didn't have a glove on, and he penetrated me so hard that it made me bleed. And I'm like, fuck it, tear me to shreds, because I was on their mercy. I was on the mercy of these people. And as I was walking out, I just had my head down, and I'm not even walking. I'm in the wheelchair. And I'm like this. And I heard this old woman. She said, "Look, that son of a bitch did it again." And so then they sent me into the other, the nurse practitioners. That's when she starts to do the heart rate on the baby and stuff. And her heart rate was usually like 152. And by the time that they got me in there to her, it was at 92. And we were dying. She had me roll. She started panicking because she said, legally, we can hold you 3 days without anything. And I said, I've been here 5 days. I said, please check the computer. So finally, they checked the computer. And that's when she really starts freaking out. Because it's illegal what they did to me. And it wasn't like I was some hardened criminal, guys, and I've had, I'm not trying to judge you if you have, but I'm trying to open up your mind a little bit. That wasn't my 5th time having a kid in prison that I don't raise. I'm a good mom. And but I seen how it looked, but they still shouldn't have treated me like that. So she starts freaking out. She's got me on oxygen and instant IV fluids. And she's like, she's got to go to the ER. So they chain me up, wheelchair me to the cruiser, and they get me loaded in, and it's in the middle of July. And she shuts the door, and she said, hold on, I'll be right back. And the CO that was supposed to drive me to the ER takes off running for something and leaves me in the car, and it was hot. And I was like, please don't leave me. And she'd forgotten about me, what felt like forever. By the time she got back to the car, I was slumped over with foaming out the mouth. I can't believe I'm alive. And especially my daughter. And she's like, oh, shit. She jumps in the car. She rolls down all the windows. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's like, I'm getting you there as fast as I can. And so we're, and we get stuck in traffic. And I finally was able to sit up. And, because of the fluids they got in me, right? I was finally starting to see things that, like, a little bit of life was coming back to me, right? And I still, the baby, I knew her. So I get to the hospital, emergency room. And first thing they do is take me to the ultrasound technician, right? And she said, come on. She couldn't even get her to move. She said, all I know is that this kid has one strong heartbeat. But she won't move. So they sent me into and I'm chained to every table they had me on, I was chained. 2-point restraint. Either from this wrist to this foot, or this wrist to this foot. And you like my Chuck Taylors. And I'm in there, so they have to they have to induce my labor. And I was in labor for 2 days. They left me chained to that bed. And depending on what CO came in after the shifts would depend on how much slack I had on the chain. And a lot of it was racism. And just persecution of you. Look, nobody showed me compassion. I was puking all over myself, and the only one, she held my hair back because I was chained. I was tied down, and I was trying to puke. What was I gonna do? And she held my hair, and I said, "Why are you holding my hair?" She said, "Because you're a human being." Our system is so fucked up. And it's like nobody knows. The people that work there are sick, and it's like they know. I don't know, you guys. I don't know if I deserved that or what. So I'm like, at first they gave me Pitocin or whatever it is. So it's like a thing they stick in there, and they're like, don't take it out. So I didn't, and it took them a whole day to get me dosed, right? And then when they did, they didn't give me enough. So I was still sick. I was still barfing in this barf bag, right? And they were treating me like I was trying to just get high. I was so sick. I literally couldn't eat, drink, or hold down no food. And I had a kid ready to deliver. That's how they treated me. So anyways, and that wasn't the case. I made sure I wasn't on that dose of a milligram. I went as high up as you know what I mean? I didn't keep going and going. Because I didn't want her to have to feel it, right? I was already guilty enough. I already felt enough shame. I need another break. All right, I'm back. So, after 2 days of going into the labor, and I'm like, at first I was like, I can handle this. This ain't too bad. And by the time that because they let me dilate to 9.5 centimeters before they even offered me any pain medicine. And so I remember looking at the machine with the heart rates and the date and time on it. I was in labor for, it was a whole 2 days. And I'm trying to stand up because they had me chained, right? And I'm screaming as loud as I could because I didn't know what else to do. It was the only way I was going to survive. Was the louder I would scream, the more easier it was for my body to handle what was going on. And I remember the lady, she said, you need to calm down. It is not that bad. And that had already been going into another day of me doing that, right? And I said, do you have any kids? Because it would come and go. Like, you get a chance to breathe. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, those you guys that have had kids. And then it comes again. And I said, after it was over, I said, do you have any kids? She said, no. I said, then how the fuck would you know? They were treating me so bad. I really didn't care at that point, right? And I'm doing this naturally. So this girl come in, a nurse. I'll never forget her name, Brittany, because of the way she did me. Because I seen how it looked. But come on, man. Some of us really are innocent to our own devices, right? So she came in and she's like, I got to see how far you're dilated. And she did. And she said, you need to push. And I said, what? She said, you need to push. She said, you're dilated. You're there. Like, you're there. And I'm like, push. I said, I'm trying. I did the best I could. She's like, she's not going to do it. C-section. And the lady that was with me, the CO, all right, it wasn't a CO this time. It was a probation officer. The CO had to take off, and the probation officer had to cover her shift. All she's doing is just watching an inmate, a number, right? She's the one walking back to the surgery room, and I am scared to death. And they had my arms chained out like that because the IV that was in my arm, they put it right where my arm would bend. So every time I would get comfortable and lay down, the machine would go off. It was like every little thing. It was horrible. So by that time, they got me out like that. And the only one that treated me with any decency, the one that held my hair while I was puking when I first got there, because they had me signing all these papers, and it said one for blood transfusion. I said, I'm not going to need none of that. I said, I'm too sick. I can't. She said, you better scribble your name down just in case. So I just scribbled it down. And if I wouldn't have, I would be dead. And so I'm in there, and they're like, you want any, before they send me to do the C-section, right? That's when they gave me the epidural. And I'm holding on to this pillow, and they gave it to me right in the middle of a contraction, and I'm trying to hold as still as I possibly can, and I don't even know what's going on. It ain't like I have somebody there to hold my hand. In fact, they were all against me, and they numbed me wrong. It paralyzed my right side. So like, and this side was fully active. This leg was active, but this side wasn't. They they did something wrong. Okay. So then that's when they start panicking and wheeling me into the other room to where they're doing the C-section. And I look at the probation officer and I said, will you hold my hand? Guys, this shit sucks to share this. Because she said, no, I don't know you. And it was so chaotic in there. They were in it. There was so much movement. And I was alone, right? And I'm chained to the bed. Guys. This is the most traumatizing thing I've ever lived through in my life. Hear me? Okay, so they're doing this ice cube test and telling me, do you feel this? Do you feel this? And I'm telling them, yes, I do. That doctor knew I wasn't numb because this leg kept moving. So they're doing the incision. There was no guard up. There was no happy, here's your baby. It wasn't nothing like that. I got to see they started cutting me, and I'm watching it, and I'm just praying to God the whole time. And I seen this bright golden light, and I kept hearing, keep your eyes on me. And me being me, I couldn't. I had to watch. So I'm watching them take this laser thing to my freaking guts and they start pulling and by the time they get to the middle, right, where I wasn't numb, I start leaking out. And I could smell it. That's how much I was losing blood, right? And she said, it's just pressure. By the time they get to here, I'm screaming bloody murder, and I'm like going in and out of consciousness, right? And this leg was kicking. It was nuts. There was nobody in there to say, hold on a minute here. What are you doing to this girl? So I remember I get them all the way to the point, and I keep trying to keep my eye on the golden light. Because I started watching them pull my shit out. My guts, right? And so by that time I'm done. I've lost too much blood. But I can still hear. And I was listening. I was listening. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to share this, you guys. I was making sure I could hear her cry. Make sure she was all right. And that was it. I'm done. It goes black. For 6 hours, I was out for, right? And I wake up in a different room, still chained to the bed. And my lips, where I was so dehydrated, were red. I was about 100 pounds soaking wet. They about killed us both down there. And I wake up, right, and I have all this staples and stuff, and I'm like, "Where's my baby? Is she okay?" And that same she wasn't a CO. She was a probation officer covering for that lady, right? She was pale. She was a melanated lady, and she was pale. And when I woke up, she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're alive." She said, "I'm sorry I didn't hold your hand." She said, "What they did in there," she said, "I can't believe I witnessed that." She said, "I'm just a probation officer. I've never seen anything like that." And I said, "I don't care, lady. I want my baby. Where's she at?" And this nurse, Brittany, I don't know what she looks like, but her tag, that's all I remember. She came in and she yanked the catheter out of me, and she said, "You'll never see your baby." I have a scar on my leg right here still. If you don't calm down, you'll never see your baby, is what she told me. So what do? You shut up. I need a break. I hate when that happens. When it starts without it, you know what I mean? Because if I move my hand, sometimes it'll start. And it's like I wasn't ready. So they leave me. Finally, they start treating me a little better. There was a shift change, right? And it was after the baby I'd already delivered her. And I'm saying just by giving me food and drink. It was like a whole different experience once this shift changed. And I got to see her. 24 hours later, I got to see her. And they open up the door, right? I hadn't even seen her yet. They open up the door, and my dad and her dad was standing outside the door. Don't ask me how they even knew where I was, because they weren't allowed. It was top secret. Nobody knew where I was, or that I was even in labor. They weren't allowed to know. I wasn't allowed to call nobody. All I told them was, if you don't hear from me, here's the hospital I might be at, this and that. So I guess it had been like 3 or 4 days went by, nobody heard from me. So my dad goes down there to find me. He said he didn't ask what room I was in. He said he just walked on in. And he walks right to the room. So the door opens, and I'm like, because I was like, he was like, shh. And I was like, okay, I picked up what he was putting down, and that lady, she's helping me get up and put me in the wheelchair and chains me to the wheelchair like I'm about to hop up out of there. Like, I know it's this penitentiary. We're talking about crazy people, a lot of bad stuff happens there, but I'd say a C-section. I wasn't like I was going to jump up out there and take off jogging down the road without my baby. But there are people like that, I guess, maybe. Who knows? I just wanted to see my kid and make sure she was alive, make sure they didn't swap her out, or I didn't know, guys, because nobody was there on my team. You see what I'm saying? So finally, after that lady, I'll never forget her. Her name was Mac. That was her last name, I guess. She was a melanated woman. She's the one that helped me name my baby. She said, "Do you know them too?" I said, "No." She said, I was about to hit them motherfuckers with my mace." And I'm like not laughing, right? Because I'm thinking, like, what do you do? But it gave me life to know that somebody was there, knew where we was, Somebody that had authority outside of where I was for her. So I get her, right? And they hand her to me, and I only got 30 minutes with her, guys. And I remember seeing how messed up her head looked, because where she'd been in the birth canal for so long, and I knew she was mine. And I remember I asked that lady, I said, "Should I name her America or should I name her Danielle after my sister?" She said, "Oh, America, I like that." And so I named her America. And then, let's see, I was at the hospital for another day. They shipped me straight back to the penitentiary. And it was that was the most traumatizing. That was probably the worst part about it all, was leaving her. Going back to that place. And when I get back there, right, I'm like, are you guys going to help me get back to the dorms? They said, you're going to have to walk. You're going to learn how to walk. It was in the middle of July, right? So I'm sweating. And I'm in this freaking yellow jumpsuit with black state boots on that one of them didn't have a sole on it. It was rubbing my foot raw. I didn't even have socks, guys. It was horrible. And I'm like limping down through there. Trying to get back there to where I can just lay down. And I get back there and my little bunkie, she said, I thought you were dead, honey. She said, look, there's all your stuff packed up. She said, nobody's ever been gone that long. She said, well, I'm glad you're back. And she said, I'm sorry. She said, you look empty. I was empty. I remember waking up to like phantom cries, you know what I mean? Like, it was just fucked up. So like 2 or 3 weeks later, I get out into a rehab. The Rap House in Covington, Kentucky. And that's where I get her, right? And I remember when her dad first brought her, this was when her dad was good. Everybody liked him. He was the savior of the situation. Wait till you hear about that after all this happened. I'm just happy to be out and to see the sunrise and to hold my baby, right? But before I even held her, I said, what do you guys want me to do with her? And that lady was like, girl, that's your baby. Pick her up, you know? So I did. And they hit me up on the 3rd floor. So I'm trying to hike up these steps, holding her in this pumpkin seat after I just had this incision, right? So I got her up there finally, and it was always hot up there. And any of you guys that know me that's been there would know that, because some of you guys follow me. I don't know if you follow me on my YouTube or not, but some of you guys follow me that was with me in there. Excuse me. And you can see yourself the transformation of God, right? So we weren't allowed to sleep with our babies there. And I remember I held her and just cried because it was like just hurdle after hurdle. And me coming from such a broken environment, I didn't want my daughter to go through that, right? And I even was contemplating abortion because of the state of living. My quality of life was so low. I thought bringing a baby in this world would be selfish of me. But I couldn't. I even went to an appointment. And it makes me sad because I don't want her to ever watch this, right? And so I didn't, obviously. So yeah, and then I graduate, 90-day program, finally. And we move in with my dad, and everything was going okay. We move in here, that's right. We move in this place because of the probation, the county. They were going to make me stay there like another month if because of the county switch, right? Because of the probation officer. So that's how I ended up here. And because one of my dad's girlfriends was living here at the time. And I had to come here and tell her to leave. Like, tell her that I was coming here to live because, I'm his daughter and I had just had a baby. So that was horrible, trying to do all that. And after she left, that's when the abuse started with her dad. And the things he did to me. I don't know where he learned it from. Or I don't know what entity would take over his body. But the things he would do to me were just horrifying. I mean, I don't even think YouTube's even allowed that kind of language. After he would physically, like a grown man would, and I don't, be in a fetal position, just trying to stay conscious. And then he'd drag me in the other room and make me, screw him, right? Ugh. Anyways, I think that's about it, guys. That's about enough I can go right now, all right? So finally, he leaves after I'd snapped. And I thought, thank God he's gone. And everybody said I was going to fail without him and I wasn't going to make it. And that she was going to be motherless just like I was. They all talked death over my life. And all you people that did, I made it. Glory be to God. I made it, and so did America. And she's smart. She's healthy. And it is what it is. We made it. Glory be to God, we made it. But I went to Texas, right? After. Story ain't over yet. And these are after he would beat me and rape me, right? I would be begging God to help me. Just, So I'm trying to battle this addiction and this demon in my ear trying to tell me to just go numb it, just leave it. She's better off without me. All this other stuff, just all these things that were happening inside my head, right? And so I did one day. I broke down and did. And it was the same day I got off non-reporting probation, right? Well, I go to get something to numb my pain, right? Because I was getting my ass beat at home, and then he would break me in front of our infant. It was horrifying. And I'm looking back on this, and I'm like, holy shit, Caitlin, you did make it. But glory be to God, I did. So I remember just sitting in the shower and just crying, God, because he'd violate me in every way he knew how. And it didn't matter if she was watching or not. I remember I don't want to go into much of that. But he ended up going to prison. He got his, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And so a year or two go by. I end up with a narcissist. A narcissist does what a narcissist does. That about killed me too. He almost killed me a couple times too, choking me out. It was horrible. It was toxic after toxic after toxic. Horrible. Just like I'd seen my whole life, right? And I didn't want my daughter raised like that. That's all I knew, is that I was not going to let her see it. She didn't remember none of that, right? That's how she is. She's very, very fruitful child, right? Because she don't know none of that stuff. And I made sure of that. Thank God thank God he left. He was going to have to. Either one of us had to go. So I ended up overdosing, and this is how it all happened. They ended up, my dad freaked out and called my probation officer because it was in a different state where I overdosed, and he told on me, right? And I come home and they arrest me and take me back, and I had to do I think I had like 4 months left to serve out, right? That was horrible, being away from my kid that long. And I didn't want to be a single mom. I didn't want to be that single mom. He kept saying he would change. Hold me after he did it. And then it dragged me to church on Sunday. And I'd be trying to cover up black eyes and stuff. I was so church hurt and miserable, you guys. I didn't see no light at the end of the tunnel. So when I go do that jail time, I finally get back out. Finished the 4 months, and I didn't even really recognize my kid anymore, but I remember her looking at me like, where the fuck you been? And I just picked up from there. And that's when I got on my Suboxones. And I was on them for like 7 years. So, anyways, fast forward. After the narcissist, me and him finally break it off completely. After I was getting stronger, I was getting better. I was getting awakened. I was realizing my power, right? I was realizing God. I was seeing God. I was hearing from him. I was seeking his face myself. And I was listening. Telling, because who the hell else was going to give me any guidance? So I finally got away from him, and then I got it was 2022. I had saved about 30 grand over a 30-year or over a 3-year period from working with my dad, right? Acting like I was broke. I was rolling cigarettes. Like, how you buy the bag of tobacco and you roll them. I having, $1,000 sitting somewhere. Because I had a plan. I already had my license. I wanted to get a car. All that. So I did all that, right? And then throughout them 3 years, I had about 30 grand saved up. Somewhere in there. Maybe it was only like 16. I don't know. It was a lot anyway. When I finally counted it all up, it was a lot. And that's when I knew it was time. So I ordered something's going on. So I ordered a renting truck, okay? March 14th was the deadline God placed in my spirit. And that's weird because we are here at March, in the middle of March. Okay, and so I bought a plane ticket first. And I was still on subs. And doing, other stuff, stupid stuff, when I didn't have America. And, like drinking and stuff like that. And the only reason I'm even bringing that up is because it turns us into people we're not. You see what I'm saying? It turns us into people we are not. Which leads our subconscious mind feeling condemned. Our inner child feeling pissed off. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think there's a revelation to this for somebody, even for me. And so as I was tapping in to God, I didn't really know for sure if it was God or what, or if I was just going crazy. I really didn't know. I just knew that the deadline was March 14th. Get the moving truck and get the hell out of here. Don't tell nobody. And I didn't. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. I didn't. One friend to see if they would help me move my stuff into the truck, and he ended up flipping out on me the night before, so I had to kick him out and lock him out of my house because he went psycho on me. And so you know who ended up helping me move my stuff into the truck? I had 2 vehicles. My truck and my car, right? So I had to sell the truck because I didn't plan on coming back, guys. So I put the truck up. I was willing to give it away. So I put it up for really cheap, right? And a cop pulls in. And I'm like, what the hell does he want? Because I've had trauma with them. You know what I mean? And that's why. So I'm like, what the hell does he want? He said, hey, I seen your post on Marketplace. My son is looking for a vehicle, his first vehicle. Will you, he's getting ready to get off work. Would you mind him looking at it? And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's perfect. I already had the Penske wagon backed up to the thing. And moving just by myself, boxes, whatever I thought to think of that would make us feel at home or more comfortable, because I had no idea where we were going. I just knew we were going to Texas. So his son ended up helping me with like my dressers, my mattress, like all the heavy stuff, right? So and I had a cop out there. So it was just everything that happened for a reason. And I was scared to death, and I was still on maintenance. And I'm driving, and I got my dog and my 5-year-old daughter with me. And we are heading to Texas with my car on a 4-wheel dolly. Thank God my old dad I'd be crying and everything else trying to back the boat down the boat ramp as a kid. There was good. There was a lot of good in my life, guys. I'm just telling you the testimony of all the blows I took, right? There was plenty of good times in through there. And I always highlighted the good qualities in my mom and dad. Like my mom, she's loyal to people. If she loves you, she's not going to let people sit there and talk bad about you. You know what I mean? Whether it's 6 against 1. That's the only thing I think I found honorable out of her. But anyways, no, let's not get off topic, right? So I'm driving to who knows, 22 hours ends up being 22 hours when we get to Alamo Heights, San Antonio, Texas. Turns out it's this like high class community, right? Like high status community. And I am getting this apartment that's for $2,000 a month. You guys, it was unreal. I had good credit. I had the money, right? But I didn't have a job. I just had gotten there. So finally, and I had to rent the truck for a whole other week because we were staying in hotels, me trying to find an apartment. That's how unplanned I was. And how ready I was to just see what the hell was out here. Because I was scared, you know. Of course, I carry and conceal, so I mean, I wasn't too scared. But you have no idea. I was in Arkansas. I had a blowout and almost wiped out the whole trailer and I didn't have no insurance on the Penske wagon. You know what I mean? I had no skills. I didn't know how to sign a lease. I have common sense, and I read the whole thing thoroughly before I signed it, right? But here I am. I'm like, wow, dude, I got this really nice apartment. The ceilings were real tall, you know, and it's like nothing I'd ever seen or lived in, right? And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I was down there a whole year, and I met somebody, but you know, we didn't work out. But he kept me sustained. Now towards the end, I was getting ready to get evicted, right? And I had a couple jobs, but I don't think God wanted me to work. God wanted me to really depend on Him. All right. And I know we're going on 20 minutes. So I ended up being sustained, right? And then I ended up meeting this false twin flame and ended up moving to Florida. That was ridiculous. So boom, here I am back here in 2024. Living my best life. I'm at my best right here, right now. I will never be as young as I am right now. I'll never, I feel like I'm in my prime. I feel like I've endured enough trauma to tell people no and to have authority where I go, thanks to Christ. Because He kept me. I look nothing like what I've been through. It's a miracle I even have a tooth left in my head, you guys. That's the kind of lifestyle I lived. And I'm just keeping it 100. And if you want to, unfollow me or unsubscribe or write something real negative in the comments, go right ahead. It's not going to affect me. Not one bit. So that's my testimony. Now I'm going to go and give myself a spa day because I don't have America today. Okay? And that's why I was able to give this testimony as thorough as I did because I don't never want her to know those things. Okay? And I'm going to go cry. Okay. I am not finished with the rest of the story. When I was in Texas, okay, that's when I was given the regiment by the Holy Spirit how to get off the Suboxone, okay? That was really, really hard, you guys, okay? And that was before I met the phony soulmate, right? Or the phony fake spouse. Because I thought I'd already met him in Texas, but we're human, goofy. And and I didn't know. All I knew is that my quality of life was a lot better, okay? I felt I was happier, even though everything was coming up against me. My tires got slashed. They called CPS on me, said that I was beating my kid because they heard me yelling at her. And I wasn't even in Texas. I had just flown back to Kentucky to hold the business down while my dad went on vacation. Like, this has been unreal. Like, so I had to come back on and share some of this stuff because if you ever do step out on faith and you get where you're going, you're still going to have opposition before you know who you are. Once I started really knowing who I was, and that's the CPS thing, is what really did it. Because I was scared to death. Because I'm 22 hours away from home. I don't beat my kid, guys. Like, if anybody sees me and my daughter, if anything, I'm the one that gets pushed around. You know what I mean? But I wasn't even, when the complaint went out, they said that they heard me yelling that I was going to choke slam her or something stupid like that. And, I don't think I've ever said that in my life unless we were playing or something. But I wasn't even in the state of Texas. I was already in Kentucky. We were already flown in, but it didn't matter. They still had to follow through with the case or whatever. So I'm scared to death. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm here. They have deep pockets. And so I call my attorney from Kentucky, right? And I talked to him, and I'm like, Keith, please tell me what to do. And he did. He always gave me free advice. Was always good to me. He still is. He's a hell of a lawyer, Keith Johnson. And he said, don't go in front of them people without counsel. He said, do not. He said, they will twist your words. Don't let them in your house, because they will find a way to build a case on you. And I'm like, I only got like $5,000 left, right? And my rent's $2,000 a month. So I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? So I called Dad. Dad said, I ain't helping you. He wanted me to come home. And I wasn't ready. I couldn't come home. I couldn't come home yet. I had to figure this out. Was it really me? Was I really yelling at her? Was I being at it? Did I really make somebody concerned? That's the first thing that popped in my head was Amber, the next door neighbor. She called him. Even though we went to lunch, she was my friend, right? Supposedly. And when I first met her, my intuition told me to stay to myself. And you know what I thought? No, I'm going to have friends down here. I'm going to try to be a normal person and have new friends and meet new friends and be good for once and, make things different. Well, yeah, that's where that got me, was a psychopath stalking me. This lady, I had to make police reports. I even had to move apartment units. I mean, things were nuts. And my dad kept saying, why don't you just come home? And I'm like, I can't yet. God, it wasn't time. I wasn't here on this platform. I had to go through all that just to reach you. He kept telling me to make videos, and I'm like, I'm not. Why would you even want to use somebody like me, first of all? And I just didn't understand that I'm a spiritual being living a human experience in order to help humans that are still lost because of the way our society is and how crooked and backwards it is. I almost wore 2 different earrings. I have 2 different shoes on. That was just to see which one looked better, but but they're both Chuck Taylors. Just to kind of symbolize how backwards things are. And how innocent your sins, or your guilt you may find. Like, if something wrong, it would have been wrong with America, like mentally or something, I probably would have, I don't know if I would have been able to handle that mentally. So if that ever happened to any of you guys, forgive yourself. Because that's the reason I'm even being this transparent. I threw a fit last night over this, for whoever this is for. Because I still don't want to share this. It's humiliating to me. And I'm mad at God about it. I kicked like a little kid on the floor last night because I knew he wanted me to do this testimony like this. And he wanted me to point out that part. And I'm like, not that part, any part but that part. Because I feel guilty, Let go. We made it. Everything's okay. You're becoming aware. You're seeing things from a different perspective. You are changing so many lives just by changing your own. I wonder how many, the nights that I would sit there and withdrawn from them Suboxones, right? Because that was the serious thing, right? But I had the Holy Spirit gave me, because I didn't have a doctor down there. So the Holy Spirit gave me like a little regimen to come off of them, right? Because they don't even give you a buzz, guys. They basically just make you feel normal. It was ridiculous. There's no reason. I'm a healthy human being. Why am I chained to this bullshit? And it was blocking my connection with God. He said when I was on them, my mind was far from him. And me and him got so close during that time in Texas, you guys. Like, that's where I learned my tongues. That's where it's all came to life. He kept telling me that this was going to happen. I was going to be doing this. And I'm like, I don't like people. I don't want to be on TikTok or Facebook. Definitely not TikTok. Yeah, because that's where I had to start. God is so good, and he loves you guys so much, or he wouldn't have people like me out here sharing stories like this. I'm sensitive, and I am proud of myself. I'm an excellent mother. I have stayed single for a long time. besides, I dated the guy in Texas, but he didn't live with us. You know what I mean? I've always maintained my independence, right? Because I just never wanted anybody to hurt my daughter, because I promised her that back when she was still in my womb. She's all I had during that time of me being in that segregation and all that, and when they took her from me, it killed me. They never thought I would bounce back from that. Little do they know, the Spirit of the Most High is dwelling in the 144,000. And yeah, we have had some messed up lives, and yeah, we may get scrutinized. Yeah, we may get scorned by society. This ain't about society. This is about evolution. And this is about the transformation and the power and the glory of God. Everything he said came true. If I wouldn't have left, not even knowing it was him or not, I never would have made it to hear or to see you. I love you guys, okay? There was a few topics that I missed, but I'm just going to leave it here for now. I just want to make sure I'm glorifying him enough. The way I started hearing his voice, I read a book of Psalms out loud. I'm not sure which one it was. And I heard his audible voice, and it sounded almost like Hindu or something like that. It was odd. And I thought, what the heck? I'm making stuff up. I didn't know. You know what I mean? That was before I was completely unplugged from this matrix we've all been raised in. So I'm like, okay, you're making stuff up, Kate. Because I didn't make the words out. I just remember hearing like a tone of voice, right? And I told him, I said, send me, I'll go. I didn't have nothing else, guys. I almost bought this box of witchcraft stuff, like tarot cards and stuff like that. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody that does that, so don't take it that way. I'm just telling you my story, okay? And instead, one day I went that same Bible that I brought from jail from when I was way younger, right? Because I was a little rebel, it was just stupid. I was stupid. Before I had my daughter, I was just out of control. So, let's see, how did it go? The same Bible, right, that I'd found in jail. It's just great how God, he'll use that when the righteous man falls 7 times, but we stand again. Like, he's not even playing. No weapons formed against us shall prosper in the mighty name of Jesus. So this is what happened. Okay, so I read the Psalms, and this took about a year or two for me before 2022, right, from the beginning of the testimony before I actually left. So I needed to go back in to highlight that part and the Jesus part. When I was in Texas, scared to death, right, I would be laying in my bed that I brought from home. Like, nobody even knew my address. I didn't trust none of my family, because I couldn't. Everybody was validating Dave. My daughter's dad beat me up, and it was just everybody was against me the whole time. You know what I mean? So it was like I would just lay there in bed and listen to Jesus' commands over and over and over again on YouTube, and they're the only ones that resonated with my spirit and who I am, and I forgive myself. I forgive God, because a lot of times I blamed him. There was also a time when I went back to jail the last time to complete my sentence. If it wasn't for this lady, she planted a seed. She said, "You're chosen." And this lady could not stand me, okay? And I was walking around the rec yard by myself because I've always been alone. I've always been an isolator, even in school. I was always just the one. Always just observe. I just observe everybody, see what the hell they were up to. It was weird, but she would always outwalk me. She was like one of them athletes, always working out and stuff in there. And she walks up to me. She said, "There's darkness all around you." And I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Because I already knew she didn't like me. You know what I mean? She said, "No, hold on a minute." She's like, "I'm serious." She's like, "If you keep doing dope," she said, "that's how they're gonna get you, because they want you bad." I said, "Who is they?" I said, "Are you a part of they?" Because I was ready to knock her block off, right? Because that's just, I wasn't spiritually awakened. I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. She said, "You're chosen by God." I said, "Chosen by God?" And it was almost like that inner knowing, like, there it is. I said, "Aren't we all?" She said, yeah, but you're different. She said, in the darkness, they want you so bad. She said, if you keep doing heroin, that's how they're going to get you. That'll be the way they get you. And she never said much to me since. Rebecca, and that was her name. And I know she didn't like me, but she's still planting a seed in my brain that was true. And she said, I can't even believe I'm telling you this stuff right now. So no matter where you may have found yourself, chosen ones, just know that we make it. If you keep fighting, you keep sticking strong, you keep being still, even when it seems like any logical thing may be telling you to run back or to change your mind or do something different, but you have that spiritual thing inside of you, listen to it, because it's the Most High, and He will transform your life. And He's brought me back home. And it was really rough at first, and it still gets hard because a prophet's not honored in their hometown. They're just not, because these people know me as, little Kate. And I'm not her anymore. I will always be Caitlin R. Steffen, right? But I'm here to teach. I'm here to be that one to give you compassion when nobody else can give you any because of something you may have done. Okay? And I hope you can find grace upon my testimony with your judgment, because I know it's coming. And may you have grace within yourselves, just like God would, okay? And until next time, you guys, this was really hard for me. Like I said, now I'm going to go have a spa day. I think I deserve that. Don't you guys think? I think that's what God wants me to do. Because I couldn't do anything today. First, He got mad at me because it was about vanity. I wanted to put my makeup on first. And then He kept saying that, vanity, vanity. And I'm like, well, I don't want these people thinking I didn't want to look like a bum. You know what I mean? There's always so many things that we're overthinking. When God says move, you move. This ain't about vanity. This is about releasing the captives. The bottom feeders, the ones that are in the dungeons. This ain't about the people that already got it, that already have the faith, that already have the fruit and quality of life. No, this is to awaken the blind. This is to awaken the dead. I'm trying to breathe some life into your dry bones. And to the rest, they can go get effed. I'm here to serve the Most High. That's all. And He is who I answer to. He is who will be my judge. And He is the reason I even made it here today. All right? And I love you guys. Till next time, stay up. I might be off here for a while after that. And I hope this doesn't change anybody's perspective of me. And if it does, I understand. I see it. I see the way it looks. But I am that I am. And I'll always be the same. I love you. Stay up.